Hi, my name is Amanda Ziba, and I'm a self published author. Today, I want to talk to you about how to sell more books. Specifically, I'm going to give you 10 different ways that you can increase the sales of your book. There's a statistic floating around out there that the average self published author sells anywhere from 100 to 250 copies of their book. Personally, I have sold over 5,000 copies of my 11 books, and I want to help you do the same for yours. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I'm saving my best 2 tips for last. All of the content shared in this video will be expanded upon in my course, The Take Action Author Plan. You can learn more by clicking the link in the description box. The course includes information on how to self-publish your own book, including step-by-step processes and case studies that show you exactly what to do and how much it will cost along the way. It also has several more book marketing tips with examples and details, and also a step-by-step process on how to level up your authorpreneurship career with the ABCs of authorpreneurship. I hope you'll join me there. A lot of people think that as soon as they publish a book, the royalties are going to start rolling in and they're going to see this huge increase in income and it's going to be the retirement plan and they are going to be all set. But I'm really sorry to tell you that that is not the case. It's going to take quite a bit of work on your part, but success is still possible. This is not a field of dreams situation. If you build it, they will come. If you write it, they will read it. If you publish it, they will buy it. But hopefully after you listen to these 10 tips, you're going to know exactly where to start and get started on increasing your sales. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is intentionally writing to your audience. Now, a lot of people kind of turn their nose up at the whole writing to market thing, meaning writing to what's currently trending. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about writing for a specific reader. Who do you envision is going to read your story, and what can you do while writing it to engage those people and pull them in a little bit more? For example, I write regional fiction, so my stories take place in Duluth, Minnesota and La Crosse, Wisconsin. I intentionally include landmarks, locations, restaurants, phrases and sayings that people in those areas are going to connect with and love and recognize. It makes them happy to know that their place is seen, their place is something special, special enough to end up in a book. Or I have a series about a chocolate store or a bookstore or geocaching, and those people who love those things, who love books, who love chocolate, who love geocaching, are going to love my stories. So to take this one step further, you find where those readers are. For example, I have gone to geocaching association events. I have pitched my books to chocolate stores. I have reached out to locations within Duluth and La Crosse to see if they would be interested in selling my books. You need to figure out who your reader is, where they are, and then get there, whether that's physically in person or in a space where they hang out online. The second tip I want to give you is about collaboration, and more importantly, creative collaboration, intentional collaboration. So to explain this one, I'm going to give you an example. This is my book, Champion Chocolatier for Better or Worse. It's the third book in the chocolate story series I was telling you about. And I knew that this story was going to involve a wedding, and that on the cover, I wanted a wedding cake. So I could have gone to Shutterstock or Photostock or any Photostock website and found a cake, but instead, I chose to collaborate creatively. I went to Google and I typed in bakeries in Duluth or wedding cake makers in Duluth. I found a great bakery, I browsed through their gallery, and I found this cake, this beautiful cake that matches the color scheme of the cover that I already kind of had in mind. I reached out to the baker and said, "Hey, Lindsay, could I put your cake on the cover of my book?" And not only was Lindsay thrilled, but the bride of the cake was thrilled as well. And now, for free, I have just gotten 2 amazing cheerleaders for my book. Lindsay and this bride are now telling everybody and their brother that their cake is on a book and that they should read the series. And oh, by the way, it's the third one, so make sure you start from the beginning. If I had gotten any other random photo of a cake, I wouldn't have these 2 extra people on my street team telling everyone about the book. Book covers are a great way to collaborate creatively, but there are many other things you can do within your story. And I think if you sit down and put on your thinking cap, you'll be able to come up with a lot of great ways that you can bring others into your work and then onto your promotional team because they are just as excited about it as you are. The fourth thing I want to talk to you about is to contact indie bookstores directly. Again, there's this myth that as soon as you publish a book, every bookstore is going to want to sell it. They're going to book you for signings and readings, and the sales are just going to come flooding in. But again, I'm sorry, that is not the case. I have had the most luck when I reach out to them directly. I just Google indie bookstores near me, or I pull up a map and I search the directory of retail locations. I've created a spreadsheet and then I email out to them, hi, I'm a local author. I'd love for you to sell my book. Oh, by the way, if you want me to do a reading or signing or a workshop, I'd be thrilled to do that as well. Not everybody says yes, but you get a whole lot more yeses than if you just sit in your own office waiting for them to call you. Another great way to sell books is through book clubs. I visit book clubs who choose to read my book either in person, if it's in town and I know them and I feel comfortable, or especially during this pandemic time via Skype. Now, a couple asterisks here with this plan. Book clubbers are traditionally kind of resourceful and somewhat thrifty people. And so when you go to a book club, they might gush about how they all shared the same 3 copies, or they got it from the library, or they borrowed it from their neighbor down the street. And you're sitting there thinking, gee, thanks, I did this for book sales. But I want to caution you about rolling your eyes or being snooty with these people when you really, truly just thought that 10 of them were all going to buy your book. Because what you are doing, especially in your first book club visit with this group, is you are building your audience. You are building fans. You are trying to win them over. You are going to be charming and delightful and gracious, and you are going to make them feel so happy that they had the experience of talking with the author of their book and that they read that month, that they are then going to become your army of word-of-mouth promoters. And the next time that you have a book out, chances are they aren't all going to borrow the copy from one another. They aren't going to go to the library, but they're going to buy it. And you're building this fan base one book club at a time. Another way that I've sold a lot of books is through school visits. So if you are an author for children, I would highly recommend reaching out to schools to see if they are interested in having an author come and talk to their students about the power and your passion for reading and writing, offering up advice and tips for them, doing workshops with them, maybe even offering up workshops for teachers to instruct them on how to instruct writing. That's something that I do as well. But the great thing about speaking at schools is there is a very large audience. You are talking to hundreds of kids and dozens of adults who are interested in books for children. And it's a great way to get a lot of sales in a short amount of time. These events do take quite a bit of energy to plan and to execute on the day of, but it definitely is worth it. Again, if you're someone who's publishing multiple books, you're building this fan base, and these people are going to remember this experience that they had with you, the author, and they're going to be excited to buy anything else you publish from there on out. Number 5 on the list is one of my most favorites, and that is a book launch party. Nobody's going to make a big deal about you unless you make a big deal about yourself, especially at the beginning of your writing journey. So I would highly recommend having a book launch party, inviting all the people in your life who support you, and come together to celebrate this monumental occasion, this milestone of publishing a book. This can be very small. This can be very large. I've had my very first book launch party was in my basement, and I custom ordered cookies, and I think we watched the Badger game. My most recent launch party was during pandemic, so I had to get a little creative, and it was at an outdoor igloo. I've had launch parties at French restaurants, at a hotel hot chocolate bar, at a distillery. Find a location that fits your budget and that is unique to your story in some sort of way, and then celebrate with your family and friends. This is always a great way to sell a lot of books, whether it's your book that you're currently publishing right now, or previous books that you've published that other people haven't had a chance to purchase or read yet. Another one of my favorite ways to sell books is at speaking gigs. Sometimes you're speaking at a book and author festival, maybe on a panel of other fiction or nonfiction or niche audience writers. People, after they've heard your presentation and you had a chance to show them how lovely and engaging and witty you are, will be thrilled to buy your book after they've had that connection with you. It's much easier, I find, to sell books to people you meet in person than to strangers on the internet. So getting there and being in their presence, letting them meet you, get to hear some of the behind the scenes stories about your books is a great way to sell them. It doesn't always have to be at a book and author festival. I've spoken at a wide variety of other places, senior living centers or community organizations, for the Girl Scouts. There's lots of different places that you can use your voice and your platform to share not only your story, but maybe even something that's important to you. So a couple of the topics in my books, one is about orphan train riders, and then I mentioned another one's about geocaching. So finding out a topic that's connected to your story and then finding places where you can talk about those things is a great way to brainstorm where you could find and potentially book speaking gigs. Another really great thing about both school visits and speaking gigs is that they will often pay you for your time in addition to the book sale. So it's like a win-win there. Definitely look into doing that. Another great way, I think we're up to number 8, maybe 9. I'm a word nerd, not a math nerd. I looked. We're at 8. Number 8 is holidays. So think about your books in relation to the holidays. Yes, everybody buys things for Christmas, so that's a great one to push sales for. Easter is another one, especially if you have kids' books. Fill their baskets with books. Valentine's Day, I have this series, like I said, it's light and fluffy romance, so I pushed those, a lot of social media posts around the holidays. But you could also think further out to the lesser holidays. I have a story called Iris Strong Williams, so in a couple of weeks when it gets to be St. Patrick's Day, I'll be posting a lot about that. Mother's Day is another really great day to sell books because all moms just want a little bit of a chance to sit back and relax. So brainstorm how your books could be correlated, relevant, related to holidays, and get creative with how you can position them to be a great book, a great gift. Books make great gifts. The last 2 that I'm going to share with you, I think, are probably the 2 most unique tips that I have to share with you. So I'm really glad you stuck around to the end because I'm not sure that you would have heard these anywhere else. And number 9 on the list is little free libraries. A few years ago, when I published one of my books, I started getting these emails from family and friends saying, "Hi, I'd love a book. Actually, I want 2. I want one for me and I want one for my little free library." And it was amazing because within my immediate fan base, I just doubled my sales. People were not only buying a copy of the book, they were buying 2. And then they were putting it in a place that other people I didn't know, were being exposed to my stories. And who knows if somebody took a book from my sister-in-law Becky's little free library and then they dropped it off at the hospital little free library, and then that person who was visiting their grandfather who just had a heart attack takes it back to Kansas. You never know where it's going to stop. And so little free libraries, reaching out to businesses, reaching out to family members and friends, reaching out to schools, anywhere you see a little free library, ask them, "Hey, would you be interested in buying a copy of my book for your little free library?" One thing I do if I know that a book is going to go into a little free library is I put a little like a little pocket on the back cover. You can just do it like with Post-it note and Scotch tape. It's something as simple as that. Or if you have like those little old school library, card holders, you can put one of those in the back, and I either just put some business cards or bookmarks, or even just a little note that says, "Hey, I'm so glad you found this book in a little free library. I'd love a review on Amazon," or "Make sure to check out my other work. Here's my website." Doing anything you can to connect with that reader who just happened upon your book, to build that relationship and connection so that then they can come and find you and buy even more books from you. The last one I want to talk to you about is probably the largest sales potential item on the list, even bigger even bigger than school visits. And that is subscription boxes. Subscription boxes have exploded in the last few years in popularity, and especially book subscription boxes. So if you can get your book into a subscription box, it is a guaranteed sale of hundreds, if not thousands of copies of that book. And for a self-published author, that is huge. This is the jackpot. So what I would do is head over to cratejoy.com and you can find a list of all of the book subscription boxes there. Find one that matches your genre. They have everything: mystery, thriller, romance, kids, adventure. Find a box that connects really well to your theme, to your genre, to the topics that are in your book, and just reach out to them. Just send them an email and ask, hey, I'm an author. I've got this book. I feel like it would be a great fit for you. Could we talk further about the possibility of including it in your box? Or could I send you a free copy of my book to consider for your subscription box? Again, you might get a few no's, but you never know until you ask. And it's just a little bit of your time that could pay off in a really, really huge way. All right. So there are 10 ways that you can sell more copies of your books. I hope you found them helpful. I'm going to put some links down in the description box of more videos like this that I think would be helpful. Specifically, there's one that I created called Why Should You Choose a Local Author? And, you know, when they could pick John Grisham or Nora Roberts or J.K. Rowling or anybody who's a household name, why should they pick you as an indie author? That video is down in the links, and I think you're going to find it really helpful and also surprising. So come back again, give this video a like, stay connected so that you can get all of this word nerd goodness and learn ways that you can move forward on your authorpreneur journey. See you later. If you're interested in learning more, don't forget to check out the Take Action Author Plan on my website.